do some C programming, or I'll explain through C code. Uh, so let's wait for 2-3 minutes, or I will call up. Let me message. Tirth has logged in. Just a second, brother. Hello, Tirth. Good
Hi, sir.
evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good. How are
Reva,
you?
you kept a white. I'm fine. I'm fine. You kept a whiteboard.
Yeah.
You are a thorough professional. I also need to keep one. I'll get one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, I started the recording. Okay.
Okay.
So Tirth, what are
Yeah.
variables? We are going to go deeper into it today.
Okay.
Like pointers. Today we'll learn about pointers or variables which store uh, memory addresses of other variables. You must have learned it in C, C++. So today
Yeah.
we'll actually really understand what are variables, what are pointer variables, what are memory locations. Yeah. So Tirth, what are variables?
Um.
It is nothing but a name or a tag that you give to a reserved space in memory where you are going to store the data or the contents of which may change during the execution of a program. See, computers don't understand variable names. They just don't understand variable names. Computers only understand memory locations or memory addresses. They only understand addresses. Okay. Where have computer, we have to give a particular address where the computer has to store data, or we have to give a memory location where from the computer has to fetch the data. So most of the time your microprocessor is either fetching the data from a particular memory location or writing some data to some other memory location, or you are juggling data from one memory location to another memory location, or from one register to another register. Now see, microprocessors also have named memory locations, like they have internal variables or named memory locations which they call registers. Like see, you have list of instructions, so you have to go from one instruction to another. So how do you go from one instruction to another instruction? By reading the address in what you say instruction register or instruction pointer kind of thing.
Yeah.
We don't have to go into the details of that, but we have to understand what are variables.
Okay.
So computers don't understand variables. They are only for the programmer's benefit. See, you are not going to, suppose if we are dealing with say 25 to 30 different data, we are not going to remember, okay, this data I have stored at say 650, this data I have stored at 1204. You can't remember, and you are
Yeah.
going to lose your time and mental energy over remembering addresses. But you can remember variable names because, and it makes your program readable. Even in assembly language, you are not going to write an address. Yeah, you can write the address, a relative address, or in machine language, you are going to write addresses. But in memory, sorry, assembly language, yeah, I have written addresses, or I have, even in C, I have written addresses. Go to this particular location and write this data. Means I am
Yeah.
writing directly to your screen, or I am writing directly to your ROM BIOS. That I have done. I have gone to a particular location, fetch the data because it is some register data and playing with it. Viruses do that. Or you are having a pointer to a function in memory. So you can, or rather you have those BIOS functions or BIOS routines. So you can interrupt service routines, ISRs. So you can go and that is what the viruses do. DOS virus is used to do. Anyways, let's come back to variables. Just a second. Just mute it. Yeah. So I will make use of share the screen and make use of Paint to explain you concepts. Yeah. That's my point. Oh, it's yeah. Suppose in C, if I write this int I, sorry, suppose in C I write this code. Oh, sorry. Suppose in C I write this, say int I. Then what does the compiler do? It reserves 4 bytes in memory, and let us give it some arbitrary address. Let us say it is memory location 400. So 401, 402, 403. These 4 bytes are reserved for I, and it gives it the name I. So what is the address of I? 400. And I say float say J. Then it will reserve 4 bytes of memory. Let us say some 4 bytes of memory, and it will give it the name J. Let us say it is some 500. So 4 bytes of memory will be reserved for this J during compile time. I'm not saying execution time, during compile time. Of course, even during execution, it will create that and will give it the name J. So what does your compiler do? It creates a symbol table. What? A symbol table. In that symbol table, you have the symbol, or what you call a variable name. Variable name is nothing but a symbol, I. And here you have the address. So in your code, in your C code, whenever you, or let's say Python, whenever you refer to a variable, it will be converted. It will be converted into, say, the address. Say here it will be 400 will be stored. Actually, a relative address is stored, because loader will give you the base address, and the address stored in symbol table will be the relative address, relative to that base address J. So if I say I equals to 15, so what will the compiler do? Okay, it will check for the address of I, or I will be replaced by the memory location 400. So go to 400 and write 15. Okay, now if I say J equals to 3.14, let's choose this brush. Okay. So if I say J equals to 3.14, so J address is 500, go there and say 3.14. Or if I want to check the contents of J, or let us say I have some variable f, and I say J. So okay, go to that location 500, read the data, read this data 3.14, and copy that thing in the variable f. Now let us say f is here, somewhere here. I'm sorry. I'll just. Let us say f is somewhere here. Kindly excuse my bad drawing because I'm not habituated to using this tablet. Only during some of the lectures I use this. Okay. So it will go here and write 3.14. So it will go to the address 500, fetch the data, and let us say this is 450. So it will be copied here. Okay. So this is like how in C you deal with data. Let's write some data in C. Sorry, write some code in C. Acha, Vishruti, Anupama, you are able to follow now what I am saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good. Anupama.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Got it.
And how about you, Tirth? You have done programming in C, C++, Java.
Yeah, this is like a refresher thing.
Good. And another thing, did you learn this subject systems programming in your course, BCA course? Systems programming like assembler design, macro assembler, or say linkers, loaders, compilers? No, it's not there. Nowadays, in a lot of computer engineering courses, also they are removing that topic, but it's a very important topic. You actually learn what is programming or what is computer science if you understand that when you are coding. See, when you are coding in Python, you are not giving instructions directly to the computer. You are giving instructions to an interpreter, which forms a layer over your hardware and operating system. So we are sending commands to the interpreter when you are doing programming in Python. And when you are doing coding in C or C++, many a times you are just giving instructions to the preprocessor. Like when you have that hash defined, hash include, these are not even the compiler, it is the preprocessor. It is it is before the compilation stage, means that substituting will be done. So when you are programming in C, C++, Java, you are actually giving instructions or sending commands to the compiler. So you have to keep that in mind. Generally, what authors do, you are giving instructions to the computer. No, computer is much lower level. You have a higher level. So hardware and software, over the hardware, you have a lot of software layers to which you are giving instructions. So you have to understand that too. Okay, so I'll start you maybe you can make a note of this later on. I'll first start this dev C++. This is a C compiler, C++ compiler. Let's say a new project, console application, or maybe a say empty project. And we can say so we have this project, and yeah. Even if you, Anupama, Vishruti, if you don't understand some things, just accept it as it is, because we are not going to into the details of C and C++. We are just going to understand some of the things so that we understand how things work in Python. If I try to teach you in Python, it will be all Greek and Latin. You have to understand some concepts, and then we'll go further. So what I'm doing here, I'm declaring two uh, variables I and j, which are of type int. So it will reserve
So,
4 bytes of, yeah.
so can you increase the font size?
Fine. Okay, sure. Okay, add it. Tools, compiler option, environment, editor options, fonts, yeah. Now can you see this? Yeah, fine. So now, oh, a lot of things are automated in Dev C++. Okay. Uh, so I'm checking what is the size of an integer variable. What is the size of an integer variable? It will, okay. In 16-bit compiler, that is Turbo C that we used to use, it used to be 2 bytes or 16-bit, but in 32-bit or rather 4 bytes, it will be 4 bytes. Okay. Just compile and run. Yeah. See 4. It is showing us 4. It is 4 bytes. Okay. Now what we'll do is printf percentage p \t percentage p. Now I'll just remove this, and we will print addresses of I and j. I'll print addresses of I and j. Ampersand. This ampersand is nothing but the address of operator. Address of operator in C. So I'll just save it, execute, run, and compile. So it is giving us this address in hexadecimal digits. I and j, address of I and j. I can use this debug. So yeah, I can't use this. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So here you can see that we can print the addresses of I and j. The variables I and j, we can print addresses of variables I and j. Now, in Python also, we can have this facility of printing the addresses of variables. So let us say num equals to 35. I say ID number. This is the address of say num. Another ID 35. So this will give us the address where 35 is stored. Can you see this? Yeah, girls, can you see that? It is giving us the address where 35
Yes,
is
sir.
stored.
Yes, sir.
And num contains this address, or other num is referring to 35 in memory. I'll show you that 35 is stored somewhere else in memory, and num is just containing or referring to the value 35. So we are printing address of 35. The same way I can now declare, say, int star, say p int. So p int is a pointer to a integer, or rather it is a pointer variable. Now what are pointer variables? Now pointer variables are variables which contain addresses of other variables. And I will say that p int is equals to, means I am storing the address of I in p int. So I can say that now this p pointer to a int is now containing address of I. So instead of ampersand j, I'll say p. So now when I say p int is equals to ampersand I, means it contains address of I, or it is referring to I. Now if I execute this, let's save this, execute it. They both are giving me the same address. Means address of I is stored in p int, or this it is a pointer to a integer, and it is containing address of variable I, integer variable I, or we can say that it is referring to I. Got it? See the output. See the output. They are the same addresses. We can say that pointer to a int, or p int is now containing address of I, or it is pointing to I, or it is referring to I. Got it? Or rather, I'll show you. I'll make a memory dump. P. I'll write it this way. So first it will allocate memory, let us say 4 bytes for I. Then let us say somewhere in memory you have this pi. Name given as I. So when I say that I is equals to 15, so 15 will be written here. Acha. Now I say pi equals to ampersand I. So what is address of I? Address of I is 400. So 400 will be written here. So pi, this pi contains address of I. And what is address of I? 400. Or we say that pi is pointing to I, or pi is referring to I.
So, sir, if it is say any other variable j or g or whatever, it will always be pg or pj.
No. I let us say we'll change that. Let's say we'll change that. Let's change the code. So now p int, now, so it is containing what? Address of I. Huh? Now I say, I'll just copy paste it and change. Okay. Good question. Vishruti, good question. You're thinking, it means. Okay. If I say ampersand J. So now P int is pointing to J and not to I. It is containing address of J. So here we'll say J, ampersand J. Now when I say P int means address of, ampersand J means address of J. Address of J is stored in P int. So now P int is pointing to J, or it contains address of J. Let's execute it. See, okay, I'll have to introduce a new line, otherwise it is printing on the same line. Okay, so we have added the new line, escape sequence. We have the same thing in Python also, escape sequence. Now see this, address of I, address of J, and see that it is showing the same address, address of J. Got it, Vishruti? Tirth?
So
Tirth?
it will always be p int.
It can be anything. You can say, I can give your name. Vishruti is a pointer to a int. I can
Okay.
give any name, but I am giving p int means pointer to a int, or a
Okay.
pointer to a integer. See, in the
Okay.
C++, there are a lot of things like you have to understand what are pointers. Pointer to a integer is different from pointer to a float or pointer to a car. Got it?
Yes, sir.
There are way, it goes really into the deeper things. That is meant for people who want to become full-fledged programmers or professional in computer science. Tirth, you understood?
Yeah.
Recollecting your old C programming.
Yeah.
If you learn assembly coding, then you can do wonders. You can go to every bit or every port in computer or microcontroller and do wonders. Okay, fine. So you understood better, Anupama? Got it better?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Vishruti got it, understood?
Yes, sir.
Now discuss it with your dad after the lecture. He'll
Yes,
enjoy.
sir.
He will have a good time. Because generally during your day-to-day work, you don't get to work at that level.
Yes,
When you
sir.
get to discuss those things, uh, you really enjoy. You have a good time. Okay. So you understood. So we can say that this p int is a reference, is referring to a integer, or it is referring to I, it is referring to J, or it is containing address of I, or it is containing address of J. Wait a minute. Let's I will say that. Instead of the semicolon, I will make it comma and also declare J. And let us say J is at some arbitrary address. Sorry, 300. And this is J. This is J. And it is situated at 300. And if I say J equals to say 16, so 16 will be written here. It contains 16. And if I say Pi equals to ampersand J, the address of J will be copied. So this 400 will be overwritten with 300, and now it is pointing to J and not I. Got it? And that we had displayed. Understood, Vishruti? Anupama? Tirth?
Yes, sir.
Refreshing your C knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Sir,
Yeah, beta. Yes,
sir,
Anupama.
I didn't get that.
Which
Can you
one?
tell this one? Point I.
I didn't get.
The last bit you told.
Huh?
The last
I'll
bit should,
show. Yeah. Now see, if I say pi equals to ampersand j, hmm?
yeah.
Yeah, ampersand means I am storing address of j in pi. And what is the address of j? This 300, na? This thing.
Mm.
So this 300 will be copied inside of pi, and and see, pi now contains address of j. So we can say that pi is pointing to j, or pi contains address of j, or pi is referring to j. Got it, Anupama?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you make a note of it? Huh? Why don't you make a note of this? Draw it, or you can just take a snapshot. Draw this memory dump. I'll just get it in a minute. Huh? I'll just come back in a minute. Yeah, done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you understood about pointers, you understood about variables. Now let's go back to, say, Python. Hmm? So in Python, Python is an object-oriented programming language. Hmm? It is totally object-oriented programming. So in Python, whenever I write, say, 35 or say 37.83, so it creates objects of type, objects of those data types. Now, what are objects? Uh, Programming objects. Sorry, your uh, programming objects. They try to emulate or represent uh, uh, your real world objects, and your real world objects, let us say a car. The car, you say whether it is petrol or diesel, uh, so it has characteristics. Or let us say a dog. So dog has its characteristics. So it is a object of type class dog. Or so your programming objects, they try to represent or emulate real world objects. So they have characteristics or properties and methods, actions. So we will go into details of classes and objects later on, but I'm just trying to tell you. So when I say type say 65, so it is showing me it is a object of class type int. When I say 65.36, so it is telling me it is a object of type class float. So these are all objects. So type or say false. So it is an object of type class bool. Right. This is an object of type class string. So these are all objects in memory. And whenever I say num or other, let us say var1, var01, a variable 01 or variable, or say variable var is equals to 35. This type so it is now your var variable is like your pointer in C. It's a reference variable. It is containing the address of integer object. It is containing the address of an integer object in memory, or rather we say that it is referring to an integer object in memory. It is referring to an integer object in memory. Yeah, another one important point I have to make, which I forgot. I'll just show you. So whenever you have a variable, say in C, int I equals to 45. So whenever you have a variable, always two values are associated with it. The address of the variable, and the value contained or value stored at that memory location. So address is 400, and what is the value stored at that memory location or the data stored at that location. So these two things are associated with a variable name: the memory location or the address of that variable and the contents of that variable, or what is the data stored at that memory location. So in Python, let us say I equals to 35. So I say ID 35. So it will give me the address of the integer object in memory. So it is giving me the address where this value 35 is stored, or rather where the object which contains this data 35 is stored. Just a second. Okay. So ID. So I. So it is giving me the address stored in I, because I is now referring to 35. Now I say J equals to 35. So it is not like C. In C, you have two copies of 35. Like J is an integer variable, I is an integer variable, and they are both containing 35. So the copies are both are containing 35. But here, see, ID of J, ID of 35. See, this I J and 35, they have the same addresses. Just check out. They are containing the same addresses. Tirth, Anupama, Vishruti, just pay attention. Pay attention here. It is containing the same address. So in Python, what happens? We have two reference variables. We have two reference variables, I and J in memory. So let us say this is I, this is J, and somewhere here an integer object is created in memory which contains the value 35. And I and J both are referring to this because both are containing the same address, and there is only one copy of 35. Suppose if I create a K here, and I say that K is equals to 35, then even K will be pointing to or referring to the same object in memory. Let's do that. Let's do that. Sorry. K is equals to 35. And I say ID of K. It will be the same as 35, address of 35 or address of I and J. Same address. Now if I say I equals to 47. So now we have a new integer literal 47. So a new integer object is created in memory and address of that object is stored in I. So if I say ID I, so it is now a new address, ID 47. So it is giving me the address where the object containing 47, integer object which contains the data 47 is stored, and I is referring to 47. So it is it will give us that address. So understood, if I have 5 variables which are containing the same value 35, they are referring to the same object in memory. Got it, Vishruti, Anupama, Tirth? This is something different
Yes, sir.
than Java. This is
Yeah.
something different than Java. In Java, you have reference variables, but for but if you are like you are copying different values into that object or variable, whereas here you only have reference variables or pointer variables which are pointing to objects in memory. And if you are dealing with the same data, same value, equal value, then there you are actually referring to the same object in memory. Got it?
Sir, ID refers to the address, right? Location.
Pardon?
ID refers to the address or
It
location.
gives you the address. So if you have if I say ID and the reference variable, it will give me the contents of that reference variable. Means reference variable points to a object in memory, or reference variable refers to a object in memory. So it will give the address of the object which the reference variable is referring to. And when I pass that data, it will give me the address of that data, or the object which contains that data. Got it?
Sir,
Okay.
what is the full form of, is there a full form for ID?
No. ID means it is giving us the tag or the address of that. You can say identifier or something, but then ID just gives you an address. You can say help. Let us say ID J, or you can say help. We have Python docs also. Wait a minute. Written the identity of an object. Or that it's, every object has a unique identity kind of thing. So let's say 50. So it is creating that object which contains 58 and returning its identity. Okay. What is the time? Okay, fine. So everyone understood variables in Python? Vishruti, Anupama, Tirth, you understood what are variables in Python?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Vishruti, she has gone somewhere. Will be back. Wait for her. And then I'll explain you some things in Python, and then we'll end the lecture early today because I have to go out now for some work. Vishruti, you are back. Okay, she'll be back. So what I will do is say num 35. So ID num. So it is now containing address of the object which contains 35. Okay. Now I say num equals to say false. And I say ID num. So now it is referring to a Boolean object which contains the value false. It giving me a new address. I say num equals to a string. And now I say ID num. So it will give me an address of this new object in memory. It is giving me a new identity now because all your data is changing. So it is creating new objects and giving its address, or rather storing its identity in num. Vishruti got it? Anupama, Tirth, you understood?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'll wait for Vishruti and then end the lecture here. This was just to give you an idea about what are variables in Python, what are objects in Python. They are very much unlike variables in other programming languages. And we have to learn one more loop, that is the for loop. And before learning for loop, we have to learn about say list in Python. List is nothing but a collection of data. And then range. These are sequences of data. Sequences, or rather sequences of value and data. Vishruti, you are back. You can, if you want, you can make a note of this.
Sir,
Yeah.
so every time we assign a new value to a variable, a new address is
A
formed.
new object is created. New address is created. Sorry,
Okay.
new object is created in memory. Suppose you have 30. If I say I equals to 35, so it will create an integer object in memory.
Okay.
And if I say now I equals to 47, so it will create a new object in memory.
Okay.
So, and if I say, let us say three variables, I, J, K, are referring to the same object in memory. That is say 35. And then I change the values of all these three variables, I, j, k, to some other new value. Then that 35 is out of reference. So you have that garbage collector in Java. So out of reference objects will be removed from memory by the garbage collector.
Okay.
That is a new, that is only there in what we say object oriented programming languages. So out of reference objects will be removed from memory, and that memory will be kind of reclaimed for further use. Otherwise, you will have your even if you have a very large memory, all that will be used by out of reference objects, and again you will have very less of memory. You will be needing more and more of memory. So out of reference objects or unused objects should be kind of reclaimed. That memory kind of blocked by those objects should be reclaimed for reuse by other parts of your program.
Sir, can this be in the type of float?
Pardon, I didn't get. Yeah, for any values, float, bool, complex. See, Python also has a data type known as complex. We use complex numbers, na. So let us say we will do some small experiment. Let's do a small experiment. Huh? Let's do a small experiment. I will say that C1 is equals to 6, you have that a plus ib, that is the format, or say instead of I, Python uses j, so 3 plus 4j, and C2 we will use its complex conjugate. So when you multiply two complex conjugates, you get a real number, 3 minus 4j. Now I say C equals to C1 times C2. What is C? (25 plus 0j). So type C. Sorry. Type C. Gives me object of type class complex. So it can have any, it is for all data types or any data type. Yeah, Vishruti, you are back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so you got the point, you understood better?
Yes, sir.
So we will end the lecture here today because I have to go out somewhere for work. So we meet next Monday, our regular lecture. And
Okay,
we will,
sir.
on Monday, we will learn about list, range, and the for loop. And mind you, Tirth, the for loop in Python is very different from the for loop in C, C++, and Java. It's totally different. It has got a totally different connotation or totally different meaning altogether. So we have learned about variables and data types. Now we will learn about list of values or sequences of values or sequences of data grouped together. I'll just give you a glimpse of it and then we will end. So I'll say a list, and list means have it in kind of square brackets. I will list value, say 2, then 5, say 1, minus 7, then say 38. So if I say list, type lst, this is an object of type class list, and it contains a list of or sequences of values. Now we have integers over here, but not necessarily it should be integer. It can contain, say, a float. It can contain a bool. It can contain, say, your complex number. It can contain string, whatever. Let's say we have a string here. If I say list, see, it can contain, but it's just a sequence of values, a sequence of data grouped together in a single unit or a single entity. So, what we learned today? Let's make a note of what we learned today so that we can track our progress. Documents. Today's, yeah, okay.
La-
Yesterday,
yesterday, right?
yesterday we learned about that prime number programs, prime numbers. Learned about prime numbers, na? Okay. And patterns. Okay. And variables. Acha, would you like a practice problem? Huh?
Okay, sir.
Tirth, Vishruti, Anupama, I'll give you a practice problem. So
Okay.
yesterday we learnt about prime numbers. So I gave you a number, some number n, and you were finding whether it is a prime or not. And then we first we learnt a very simple algorithm. Then we made it efficient. Then we made it even more efficient. Huh? So if I give say, I want all the prime numbers. I want all the prime numbers. I want you to display or print all the prime numbers uh, from 1 to 1000. So you need to have an outer while loop, which will first input say 3, then 4, then 5, and so on up to 1000. And if it is a prime number, it will print it or else skip it. So you need a nested while loop. The outer while loop will provide you the number from say 3 to or 1 to 1000, or rather 3 to 1000, and you will check whether it is a prime or not. And if it is a prime, it will print it, else it will just skip it.
Sir, means in the range, right? Means 3 to 1000 range.
Yeah, range. Yeah, you have to say, if I say, okay, give me all the prime numbers from the range, say 1 to 1000, which numbers are prime, which are not prime, that way. Just a practice problem. You can use it for practice. Huh? Okay, then when I kind of end the call or end the meeting, after a short while, that video will be uploaded. You can download it for your revision. Huh?
Okay.
Okay, then see you next
Yes,
Monday.
sir. Bye.
So have a great weekend. Bye. See ya.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.